75, 80. Excellent. Would you like a bag for that?
Oh, no, I'm good.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4,
Thanks.
and 80 cents. You were all set, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank
Hey,
you.
have a great day.
Well, that's it. Ringo's 19th album, I think this is. Okay, here we go. Okay, everybody. Well, I'm glad that I was unscheduled for work that day, so I was able to go out and get that CD. And here I am sometime later to talk about it. And it's the new release by Ringo Starr, Give More Love. Give more love? Hey, Ringo, how about giving more autographs? Anyway, be that as it may. I want to tell you a little bit about this from the start. I had heard a few tracks, most of us out there did, on the Sirius Beatles channel. They were playing this album a lot. First couple of tunes that came out, the title track, Give More Love, a lot of us, I think, were feeling that that was kind of standard Ringo, kind of a typical, little underwhelming, okay, but nothing great. And then I think we were starting to think that, maybe this album is going to be just another one of those Ringo albums that, maybe okay. Maybe it's something you listen to once or twice and think it's decent, but you'll wind up putting it on the shelf and don't listen to it for a long time after that. But then what happened was I was going around on the internet and I was listening to some reviews, and I saw like Rolling Stone gave it like, I think, 3 out of 5 stars. And then also some site, I don't know what it was, gave it only 5 out of 10 stars. I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be a problem. And then I finally tuned into a podcast. It was a Beatles show. I listen to it all the time, and I recommend it. It's Things We Said Today, And the 3 hosts of that show were all really, really over the top with excitement over this record. And they all approved of it. And I said, maybe this is one of those cases where the critics don't really like this, but the fans do. I don't know. It's a little early yet, too early to judge. But I said, I wonder if these guys, just because they're Beatle freaks like me, they're kind of giving Ringo, a little bit over the top praise for this. I said, well, let me see what I think. Well, all I can tell you is when I got this in the car and I played it, I concurred with those hosts of the show like a 1,000 times. This is like actually, I would call it one of Ringo's best newer albums in the past 25 years. Okay, along with Why Not. I like the Why Not album from 2010. But since Time Takes Time, his really last really great album in my opinion, this is up there, along with Why Not, as one of the best albums in the last 25 years from Ringo. I loved just about every minute of it, and it's only on the first listen. I haven't listened to it more than once, and yet it appeals to me. Well, we're going to start talking about the cover. When we talk about the cover here, like I say, I personally think it's a cool design. And, I have nothing against, peace and love with the peace signs. I mean, who could be against peace or love? But the whole thing is, Ringo always goes around making that his trademark. And it's getting to a point where it's stale, I think, and kind of tired. So I, for one, am relieved that he didn't put it on the packaging of the album. Well, if you turn it around, he couldn't resist. So there it is on the back. Well, anyway, I'll take what I can get. So, let's go on to the actual music itself. The first thing I'm going to say is that Ringo in voice seems very, very strong. I like Ringo's voice. He sounds like he's really singing well. Sounds like he actually is enjoying himself on this too. Sounds like he's having a lot of fun, not just going through the motions or anything. So that really shows and shines through. And what really struck me on this is the production, the mixes. I like the musicianship on here. There's a lot of good people playing on here, and I'll get to some of those as we go along. But the sound of the music really gets me. In addition to me thinking the songs are all pretty good. I mean, there's every song on here I kind of enjoy to one degree or another on first listen, which rarely happens. So that's good. But what really struck me was the clarity of the instruments, being able to hear every instrument up front. It just sounded to me like a really upbeat, happy, kind of positive energy record. So anyway, we start off with a track that was one of the tracks that was kind of leaked out. as I show you CD and also the back of the booklet that's in there. First track on this album is called We're on the Road Again, and this one's made the rounds a little bit. Some fans have been hearing this. It's got Paul McCartney on bass guitar, and he also kind of screams his patented Sir Paul scream at the end. You can tell it's him. And when I heard it on the radio, I thought it was okay. But what really made it benefit to me is by putting it on the opening of the album as the lead-off track, because we know we're in for a good time. We're on the road again. Ringo's doing his touring, and he can't wait to sing his songs and get out there. Maybe a bit, typical in theme, but when it comes to energy, it's great. And the guitars on it, there's some biting guitar playing on here. So I'm going to read some of the players on here. You got McCartney on bass. It's written, by the way, this song by Ringo and also Steve Lukather. And, you got Ringo on drums. Ringo's drumming is great on this album, by the way. He's got some really interesting drum parts on here. The drums are very discernible. You can hear them clearly. You got Jim Cox on piano. So a good opener. Really good. I'm glad they placed it where they did. I don't think it would have been as strong if they placed it somewhere else. Then we got a song that's, I think, maybe a little controversial. Now, I heard about this song. The second song is written by Ringo and Peter Frampton. And Peter Frampton was also playing guitar on this. You got Timothy B. Schmidt and Richard Page and others singing on backing vocals. Now, the song is called Laughable. And some of the lyrics include things like, it would be laughable if it wasn't so sad. And now the question is, what is he talking about? Well, I heard in advance from listening to other shows and programs that I think he might have been channeling his sights towards a certain, shall we say, figure in the White House. I don't really like talking about presidents. And when I heard about this track at first, I said, I really hope he's not going to go there. I thought, Ringo, you're not really going to, you're not going to be specific and name anybody, are you? Don't go there. And as it turns out, fortunately, the song itself, if I didn't know that he might have been thinking about that, I kind of agree with it. The sentiment overall is basically, it would be laughable if it wasn't so sad. Basically, I don't remember all the lyrics at the first listen, but that were kind of, the world's in bad shape. He goes out the door, and people on the phone, he's talking to and telling him, don't worry, things will get better. And he said, whatever happened, things used to be better, what happened, that kind of thing. I personally, without getting too deep on this stuff, I feel that way myself. I think, this world is shot, what's going on. The difference between Ringo and me is I think he's talking about 2017, but I've been seeing this for at least the last 17 years. So that's how I feel about the song Laughable. I can relate to the sentiment in there, and I'm glad that Ringo was a little, general and didn't really go anywhere specific. So taken as that, I can enjoy it. And I don't know if it's true or not, but on one of the shows I heard someone say that Peter Frampton wanted Ringo to be a little bit more specific. But Ringo, if that's the case, wisely decided, no, let's keep it a little bit, general. So it works for me in that regard. Next song is actually a ballad, a love song to his wife Barbara, and it's called Show Me the Way. Again, another song written with Ringo and Steve Lukather. And Paul McCartney plays bass, and from what I learned that Paul actually came to the sessions just to play bass on Show Me the Way here. But he wound up being on the first song, We're on the Road Again. As long as he was there, he was on two songs, but that wasn't the intention, supposedly. So it's a very nice ballad. We slowed things down a little bit, and Ringo's talking about his feelings all this time being with Barbara, which is very nice. We have a really interesting song here called Speed of Sound next, and I like the titles here. Show Me the Way, it sounds like Peter Frampton. Speed of Sound reminds me of Wings at the Speed of Sound. But anyway, it's a really, really catchy number. All these songs have a certain kind of vibrance to them and interest. Keeps me interested. They flow pretty well, I think, together. It's written with Richard Marx, Ringo and Richard Marx together, and Peter Frampton plays on it again. You have Steve Lukather on guitar, and it's an enjoyable track. Next we have Standing Still, which is a track that I kind of really enjoyed a lot. And that's all I could say right now. It was another fun track. Very catchy, stood out to me, enjoyed it. King of the Kingdom is another one. That's co-written with Van Dyke Parks, Ringo and Van Dyke Parks. Uh, I wish I could come with some specifics, but there's a reference in there that I'm not quite sure who that is. You'll know what I mean. Some people in the comments will say, but we're into 6 tracks, and all of them very exciting. Ringo, like I said, in fine voice, and I should say here, some people think that Ringo is auto-tuned. They think he was auto-tuned on his last album, Postcards from Paradise. Personally, if he is, I don't hear it. I mean, I'm not trying to deny it. I just don't hear it. And he just sounds very strong and very excited and happy to be doing this. And it shows in the work. After that, we got a song called Electricity. Electricity is written with Glenn Ballard and Ringo, of course. Joe Walsh is on the guitar. We have Joe Walsh here. Don Was on bass. And, I really can't describe these songs specifically except to say that, they're catchy. A lot of them have catchy, like even the electricity kind of thing is very catchy. But I found out that this particular song is a tribute to Johnny Guitar. Johnny Guitar being somebody who was in Ringo's old band before the Beatles, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. So Ringo's kind of like going back to his roots or his past to acknowledge that, which is nice. Then we come to a song written by Ringo and Dave Stewart, and the song is called So Wrong for So Long. This is a country song, and a lot of us who know Ringo have been feeling that Ringo really should get back to country, maybe even make an all-country album. A lot of people are fans of the 1970 album Bukus of Blues, which was Ringo doing country, and I love that title track. I think Ringo's voice is really suited for country. I think maybe he's starting to listen that people want country out of him. I think he'd have a country hit for an album if he ever goes there. But this song, at first I heard it. It was one of the couple of songs they were playing on the Sirius XM Beatles channel, and I really didn't think that much of it at first. But after hearing it 2 or 3 times, I'm a fan. The song has grown on me, and I really like it. It's got that country, twangy guitar sound, and I love it. Next, we have a song written by Ringo and Gary Nicholson, and it's called "Shake It Up," and it reminds me in a lot of ways of "Shake, Rattle, and Roll" or something like that, or maybe Matchbox, the Carl Perkins song that the Beatles covered with Ringo on lead vocal. It's got that kind of a feel to it. It's a bouncy, bopping kind of track, and I enjoy it. So far, we're 9 tracks in, and it's great. I don't mind playing it over and over all the way through. Then we have number 10 is the title track that I kind of talked about earlier. It's a track called "Give More Love," and that's the one that they've been promoting as the first single. And the funny thing to me, I don't know how any of you are going to feel about this, but in some ways, the track "Give More Love" is actually the most, standard and maybe one of the weaker tracks here. The actual line, the chorus, give more love," is actually reminiscent to me of the song that he did for George, the tribute, "Never Without You," And even my girlfriend who listened to that track on Sirius XM said it sounded to her like a song "Peace Dream" for Ringo's Why Not album. So that song, "Give More Love," it seems to be like kind of a cookie cutter kind of Ringo song. And in a lot of ways, after hearing the whole album, while it's okay and it's decent, it doesn't hurt. And I think it's a good song to put at the end of the album. I don't know. I just think that, it might be one of the weakest tracks written by Ringo and Gary Nicholson. And now we're going to go down to what I'll call bonus tracks. The album itself, proper, basically has only 10 new tracks, so to speak, on it. Then there's 4 bonus tracks, so we got 14 altogether. We go to another version of "Back Off Boogaloo," Ringo's great single from 1972. Now, this is the 3rd time Ringo's recorded that, okay? And it's not bad. It's kind of a little bit of a different arrangement. I don't know if I need 3 versions of Ringo's career of "Back Off Boogaloo." I still think the 1972 single was the best. But there's a little notes in here from Ringo where it explains, he says, the story behind this new version of "Back Off Boogaloo." He says, one day while he was going through a box of some items that were in storage, he found a 1/4 inch reel-to-reel of the original demo of "Back Off Boogaloo" that was recorded way back in 1972. And Ringo says it's me on guitar and singing through some sort of cool analog delay. And then he says that the engineer and Ringo took excerpts of that performance and married it to a track that Jeff Lynne put together. So they basically, you're hearing the original tape, a little bit of it, and marrying it together with a new version with Jeff Lynne mixing in there. Ringo says, I played drums on it, and then Joe Walsh played the incredible slide guitar. And he said, also on background vocals, you can hear my original vocal extracted from the 1972 single that George Harrison produced. So it seems to me that Ringo is, maybe to ensure better sales, I don't know, putting old songs in here too. And that continues on with the next track, bonus track, Don't Pass Me By. That's right, Don't Pass Me By, the Beatles song from the White Album. Only this one I was very pleasantly surprised. It really is very different from Don't Pass Me By as it appears on the Beatles' White Album. And as a matter of fact, the arrangement is much kind of like slower, kind of very lovely, really. It's a lovely version of it. Whereas the Beatles version is more like, I think, a kind of novelty, kind of fun, silly, kind of crazy song. This is a little bit more like, I don't know, just a beautiful, lovely kind of rendition of it. And I really liked it. So then we have a track, You Can't Fight Lightning, Ringo Starr and Alberta Cross. And You Can't Fight Lightning was going to be the original title of a 1981 album that Ringo did called Stop and Smell the Roses. You Can't Fight Lightning is from back then. And to me, that's the weakest of all the tracks here. Out of the entire bunch of 14, that one's the weakest. It's still something you can listen to. I wouldn't skip it if I was going through the whole CD, but it's kind of ordinary, and it doesn't really do anything for me. And finally, the last track on this album is, if you can believe it, another rendition, another version of Ringo's classic hit, arguably the biggest hit he ever had on his own as a solo artist, Photograph. He does a version of Photograph, and let me just make sure I get it right, who he's doing it with. Ringo Starr and Van der Veer, okay? And, you know, it's got some female backup in here by, I can't pronounce the name, I hope I get it right, sorry, Rose Guerin. Vocals, and she's also on Don't Pass Me By. You have like a little female accompaniment on Don't Pass Me By and Photograph, and at least I can say that the two versions of those songs are different enough that they're interesting. So I enjoy it. Overall, I'm really loving this album. I'm not considering this really, I mean, it is a review, isn't it? But it's not a proper review because I really need some more time. But this is how good it is on the first listen. I can only imagine how it's going to reward on future listens. Now, I hope that this does somewhat well for Ringo, because at least Sirius XM is playing this, and that's good. So you're getting exposure on Sirius XM, and hopefully people pick up on it a little bit. He does somewhat well, better than he usually does with this. I think it's one of the best albums he's done in the last 25 years. And I hope you'll go ahead and consider listening to some tracks and buying it. All right, everybody, so take care. Thanks for watching.